Welcome to Blondies. My name is Tatiana. I'm going to be your guide for today. I will explain you how we produce the red wine and also the history of the Blondies farm. Here on the device you have the volume that you can adapt. Sometimes I might speak a little bit loud, so you can adapt the volume you need. Starting with the first Blondie. His name was John Davis Blondie. He was originally from Dorset, United Kingdom. He came to our island in 1808. Established the Blondies as a company in 1811. The building that we are today, Mr. John bought in 1838. From 1838 until nowadays, this building works as a wine lodge. But before that, this building used to be a prison, a church, a convent, a monastery, and a hospital. After being all of that, is a wine lodge until nowadays. The place that we are, it used to be the cooperage, a place that they were making the barrels, but we no longer do new barrels here. In Blondies, we are always reusing the barrels that we have. There's an example of a barrel over here. It's made with American oak. We use the American oak because this wood is breathable, allows the wine to breathe. And also, this wood gives the vanilla flavor to our wines. As you can see over there we have a different container. It's not a barrel, it's a vat. The vats here on this building are made with Brazilian satin wood, and we specifically use the Brazilian satin wood only to storage the wine. Our company is called Madeira Wine Company because we represent 4 different brands. Of course, we own and we represent our own original brand, Blondies. But legally, this company also represents other 3 brands, which is the Miles, Cossart Gordon, and Lee Cox. So if you see those names on the barrels and also on the bottles, now you know that the legal representatives of those companies is the Blondies farm. Our wine is very unique. As far as we know, it's the only wine in the world that needs high temperatures to be made. So if we need high temperatures to produce our wines, of course, what you are going to see today is not a cave, because that is cold. What you will see today is an attic. This way, please. Accident inside of the boats. They were transporting the normal wine after fermentation for their own consumption and to preserve the wines inside of the boats. Once they decided to add sugarcane rum to the wines to preserve it. They went around with the world with the wine inside of the boats, and then they come back again to Madeira to pick up more supplements, more wine for their own consumption, and also more sugarcane to sell. As they arrived here in Madeira safely, they decided to celebrate with the rest of the wine that they had on the boat. When they tried the wine, they realized that the flavor of the wine was different. The wine was better than before going on the trip. First of all, they thought it was because of the movements of the boat, but then they realized it was because of the high temperatures. So what we do here in Blondies is we try to recreate the same accident in here. That's why what you're going to see today is an attic. Our rooms, we don't heat. We don't artificially heat our rooms. Our building is facing the sun, and the sun comes and heats our rooms completely natural. Inside of this room, we can reach to 29 degrees. And on the last floor of this building, we reach sometimes to 32 degrees. Normally it's hot inside of these rooms. Welcome to hell. coming from here, from Camarada. Blondies, they are 6 hectares of vineyards. 1 hectare is located here in Funchal, and the other 5 hectares are located here on the north of the island. So in total, Blondies own 6 hectares of vineyards, which for a small island like Madeira, 6 hectares of vineyards is a lot, but it's not enough. Our annual production is 1 million liters of wine, so it's logical that we need more grapes. That's why we work with 400 different farmers here in Madeira. We have 400 farmers growing the grapes just for the blends. The reason why we work with so many farmers here is because in Madeira it's not so common to find long hectares of vineyards. What you find is small vineyards next to the houses, and Blondies works with those small grape producers. So that's why we work with so many, because they don't have hectares, they have only a few vineyards planted next to their houses. In here we have the names of the grapes. Listra is a grape that we don't use. You might see a bottle of this wine to sell. It is from 1977. This grape only exists in Porto Santo, and for some reason the Blondies, they went to Porto Santo in 1977 and they brought the grape here and they produced a wine from that year. There's no special reason, they just wanted to produce a different wine, and that wine was produced in 1977 and it was bottled this year. It's a very, very limited edition. We only bottle a few bottles because Blondies normally they don't buy the grapes from Porto Santo and bring it to Madeira to produce another wine, but one year in 1977, Blondies decided to do that. This grape over here is called Bastardo. We don't use it because it doesn't give us the level of acidity and the level of sugar that we want to produce some other wine. I believe that's why they named the grape the bastard, because it's a bastard to work with. So Blondies, they have wines produced with this grape, but they have only a private collection. To sell, you won't see any wine to sell produced with the Bastardo grape. Only a private collection. After the Bastardo, we have Tinta Negra. Tinta Negra is the most common grape here in Madeira. It's the grape that exists more in the whole island. Represents 85% of grape production here. Tinta Negra is also the most versatile grape. So, for those who don't know, Madeira wine has 4 styles. We have the sweet Madeira wine, the medium sweet, the dry, and the medium dry. This grape over here is the only one that can produce the 4 styles. You just have to control the days on the fermentation process. 2 days for a sweet wine, normally 6 days for a dry wine. Tinta Negra, as I said, produces the 4 styles, and to distinguish the 4 styles that they produce, of course, we don't write the name of the grape on the label. What you will see is written on the label Tinta Negra sweet, Tinta Negra medium sweet, Tinta Negra dry, and Tinta Negra dry. To distinguish them, Blondies decided to put names of English dukes. So if you see bottles with names like Duke of Sussex, Rainwater, Duke of Cumberland, and Duke of Clarence, when you see them, those wines are produced with a barrel grape called Tinta Negra. Those wines are also the youngest wines that this company produces, for 3 years. After the Tinta Negra, we have an extremely rare grape here in Madeira. It's called Fermentation. This grape we almost lost many years ago because of the full-of-sugar disease. Fortunately, the grape survived, but survived with a lot of problems. The skin of this grape, it's very sensitive. It attracts a lot of fungus and a lot of bacteria. So it's not so easy to produce another wine with Fermentation, but fortunately, the Blondies produces wine with Fermentation, just requires more attention. Fermentation, it's a grape that produces a medium sweet, and you will find in different years like the 1975, 1976, 77, 98. Only those years. After the Fermentation, we have the Cercial grape. The Cercial grape is a grape that produces the driest Madeira wine. Many people call this grape the dog strangler because of the level of acidity that the wine has. When you drink it, the finish on your mouth, it could remind you of the lemons, oranges, and limes, the citrons. So if you like the citrons, this is a perfect wine for you. Cercial produces the dry, Madeira produces the medium. The medium dry and the dry red wines, these two you can have it as an aperitif, is what we call an aperitif wine or a starter wine. You can combine it, for example, with cheeses, crapets, oysters, foie gras, and a fish soup as well. Boual is the grape that produces the medium sweet, and Malmsey produces the sweetest Madeira wine. The sweet and the medium sweet, these two wines we have it at the end of the meal, as what we call a dessert wine. You can have it, for example, with chocolates, with cakes, puddings, cheesecakes, mousse. All of the sweet things you can combine with the sweet ones, but if you don't like to combine it with extra sweet things, you can combine it with a black coffee, and then you have a good, amazing, digestive drink. As you can understand, each variety represents a different style of wine. So if you want to buy, and these names will be written on the labels. So if you want to buy a sweet wine, you have to look for a bottle that is written on the label Malmsey. If you want a medium sweet, it will be the Boual. Medium dry, Bredelaire. The dry is Thirsty-Off. If you want something red, Fermentation. Believe me, the only way that we have to memorize all of these names is with the practice. So drink a lot. Do you have any question? No? Are you all feeling well? Over there, I will show you how we produce the wine. We start with the harvest. The harvesting period happens between the second week of August until the first week of October. The harvest has to be done by hand because here in Madeira the vineyards are planted on a terrace system, which means that grapes grow on top of our heads. We do this because we suffer out with humidity, and humidity comes from the soils. So if the grapes grow high in altitude avoids the humidity that comes from the soils. After the harvest, we will separate the grapes. After separating the grapes, we press to have the juice, and when we have the juice of the grape, we put inside of stainless steel tanks to start the fermentation. The fermentation is when we heat the grape juice. By heating the grape juice, we'll create a yeast. The yeast will eat the sugar, and it will convert the sugar in alcohol. So if we want to produce a sweet wine, it's 2 days of fermentation. For a dry wine, it could be 6 to 8 days of fermentation. After that, when we have the types of wines that we want, we have to stop the fermentation. We will stop the fermentation with the fortification, which is when we add extra alcohol to the wines. We add this extra alcohol when we want to stop the fermentation to kill everything. This alcohol is so strong that only a few drops will stop immediately the fermentation. This alcohol is produced from the grapes. It's distilled from the grapes. Of course, it's not produced in Madeira because if we don't have grapes enough to produce our wine, imagine to produce this alcohol. We import from Spain. They produce it with the Tempranillo grape. This alcohol has 96% proof. After adding the alcohol, we will divide in 2 aging systems. We have the artificial aging process, and we have the natural aging process. When you buy a bottle of Madeira wine, how do you know that the wine that you bought was produced artificially or if it was produced natural? It's very simple to distinguish. The artificial process we only use to produce the 3-year-old wines. I already told you that the 3-year-old wines has names of dukes on the labels. So every time you see a name of a duke on the label, that wine was produced artificial. If you see written on the label 5-year-old wine or more than 5 years, that wine was produced natural. In case of the wines that we produce natural, normally we write the name of the grape on the labels. The artificial process is called estufagem. We put the wine inside of stainless steel tanks, and inside of those tanks we have hot water sleeves going around and heating the wine up to 45 degrees. The wine stays inside of those tanks for 4 months. Then after the 4 months, we transfer the wine to an American oak vat, and it stays there for 2 years. 2 years inside of the vat, plus 4 months inside of the tanks. But the final age of the wine is 3 years old. because the 4 months that wine stays inside of the tanks is the exactly same thing of staying 1 year here. We only use the tanks to accelerate the aging process. Otherwise, the wine could stay here for 3 years. And how do we want to produce it faster? We use the stainless steel tanks and we artificially heat the wine. After that, bottles. The natural aging process is called canteiro. The canteiro process is what you see here. The wine aging completely natural. We put the wine inside of those barrels. It stays there minimum 5 years. Maximum the wine could stay there for 100 years. The reason why we keep a wine here for such a long time is because the wine ages beautifully. The Madeira wine, once it's inside of the bottle, never ages anymore. Okay? So if you buy a 15-year-old wine, you keep it for more 15 years, the wine is not going to be 30. The wine is going to be always 15. The wine never ages in the bottle. So the best way of keeping a bottle of this wine is empty. But if for some reason, if you like to keep the wine for a few years, there's no problem at all. Actually, we also do that. The oldest wine that we have on the sale is from the year 1755. So you can keep the Madaya wine the years as you wish. Just don't forget to put the bottles upright. Okay? All of the other wines, you keep it laid down. This wine, if you keep it laid down, you might lose the wine. Because of the acidity of the wine, the cork will start deteriorating and you see you lost all of the wine. So put it upright. If you put it upright, the cork will also deteriorate. But at least you can see it and you have time to change the cork. Because you will see when the pieces of your cork start falling on the wine. And you can change, you have time to change the cork. Normally we change it from 20 to 20 years. Our corks, they have the capacity, they live for 20 years. After that, normally they start deteriorating. You can look over here on this board. I will explain the wines that we put. Okay, so focus on the first line of the wines. The first line of the wines, those are called blended wines. Not because we blend grapes, because normally we don't blend grapes. What we blend is years. Take the example of the 10-year-old wine. When you look to that wine, you probably think that the wine was for 10 years inside of a barrel. There could be a blending of a 13-year-old wine with a 7-year-old wine. 13 with 7 together, the average age of that wine is going to be 10. So those numbers that you see on the label, 5 years old, 10, 15, 20, 30, those are average ages. That is not the real age of the wine. That is a calculation that we do after blending the different years and we give it an average age. Why do we blend the different years? It's simple. I give you this example. When you cook, you add different ingredients to have the final plate that you're looking for. It's the exactly same thing that the winemaker does with the wines. He is adding different years of the same grape to create that flavor of the wine that he is looking for. That's why we blend the different years to have a standard flavor and to always have the same flavor on the wine. If you buy, for example, 5 bottles of the same wine, same year and same grape, the flavor will always be the same in the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth bottle, because that's why we blend the different years, to achieve a standard flavor. The second line, you can see the wines, the bottles of the wines that has a year written on the label instead of the age. Those ones, we call them dated wines. They are from the year that you see it on the label. The dated wines, there is no types of blends. If you see a year written on the label, that wine is produced 100% from that year. No blendings of grapes and no blendings of years. 100% from the year that you see written on the label. Also, the dated wines, we don't produce it from every single year. We only produce the dated wines from the best years. As you can see, we have 2 types of dated wines. We have the first ones that we call it in Portuguese a colheita. You can call it a baby vintage. And the other ones that you see that the numbers are written by hand on the bottle. In Portuguese we call it a fresqueira. You can call it a vintage. Baby vintage and vintage. As you can understand, the difference between those two wines is only the time it stays in a barrel. Maybe vintage stays 5 years minimum on the American oak barrel, maximum 18 years. The real vintage Madeira stays 20 years minimum in a barrel, maximum 100 years. The Madeira wine is a very aromatic wine. That's why we serve it in a fully shaped glass. Also, you will only feel the aromas of this wine if you serve it slightly chilled. Because if you serve it at the natural temperature, as this is a fortified wine, what you will feel is the alcohol content and not the aromas of the wine. On your right hand side we have the aroma wheel. Those aromas you can feel it in Madeira wine. But if you serve it slightly chilled, because if you serve at the natural temperature, you feel the alcohol and not the aromas. This wine also is having contact with the oxygen in here. So it's a pre-oxidized wine. It's a wine that had contact with the oxygen before. This means that when you open the bottle of wine, you don't have to drink it on the same day if you don't want it. You can keep it open for 1 year. This wine will last 1 year after you open, because when you open the bottle of Madeira wine, it's not the first time that the wine is having contact with the oxygen. Remember that the wine had contact with the oxygen before, when it was still being rooms evaporating. The last wine which you see over there, those are called table wines. One is pink and the other one is white. Those two wines are produced by our company. The first one is the rosé wine. The rosé, we use the black grape called Tinta. The white one, we use the white grape called Madaya. In terms of flavors, those two table wines, they are dry, so we don't recommend you to have the table wines without a milk. The table wines, sorry, without a milk. With the color, you can see that that is not the Madeira wine, okay? Table wine is table wine. Madeira wine is Madeira wine. They are completely different. The way that we produce is also completely different. Table wines we produce it in cold temperatures. The Madeira wines we produce it in high temperatures. Those two that you see the last, those are not Madeira wine, and those are not our main product. Our main product, our biggest production, of course, is the Madeira wine. But Landis decided to create a wine that you could have during the meal. So in 1992, Landis started to produce the table wines. One rosé, one white, and sooner we will have another one in there for that one to come back. Do you have any questions? No?
This how long the maximum age in the Madeira wine?
100 years.
100 years. After it becomes old. Because
The maximum that the Madeira wine can have, the maximum age that the Madeira wine can have is 100 years. It could be. It's Brazilian satin wood, which is very, very compact, and because of the hardness of this wood, we have here 0% of evaporation. Of course, we do this on purpose. These wines, they're not supposed to be here. Those are babies. The younger ones, we always keep them on the last floor of the building. But it's everything full, we don't have empty barrels. So the wine is here waiting for an empty barrel on the last floor. Once we have those barrels available, we move the wine from here to there. As this is a very old building, imagine that if we were moving the barrels from one floor to another floor, it's not so safe. So, because they weigh a lot. So, we don't move the barrels. They're always on the same place. What we move here in our company is the wine, the liquid, from floor to floor. We use tubes and an electronic pump machine to transport the wine from one place to the other place. In this case, we have doors on the ceiling. We open the doors, connect the tubes, the other part of the tube to the pump machine, and the machine starts pumping all of the wine out. What you will see now is the Landis Museum. We don't have too much time to see the museum. We'll have 10 minutes around that. The history that we have in the museum, it's written on the booklet, so you can read it again if you want. That's why we give you the booklet when you buy the tickets. We can stay in the museum for around 10 minutes. I'll be there with you. Any question that you have, I think I don't need to say that you can ask. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. And when the time passes, we will go to the best part of the garden. Most of the biggest differences are only one is the one that is very similar to that our wine are producing high temperatures, their wine is very high temperatures, but also you know how we produce the wine. So you can take those processes and the wine takes the same. Because here in the bitter we have all of the flavor levels. So we have plastic, when we have plastic it gives more acidity to the taste of the lactose from there. And of course that will reflect on the final product. When you drink it comes immediately to your molars because it's more acid full of citric notes than sugar. The old wine when you drink it was the wine was the only thing of your mouth because it's não знаю, gostei da população dos os produzirem no Porto, inclusive até os cínicos chegaram a ter papas ações desta empresa, olha por isso pessoal, tem sim uma relação muito amigável, falas por serem duas famílias inglesas, mantêm sempre contatos com os outros, mas cada um produz exatamente. E agora que o Porto agora já tem um vinho muito parecido ao vinho da Madeira, que é o Tony Port. Tony Port é muito parecido ao vinho da Madeira. Okay, I think we are ready for the tasting. Let's wait, please. This one goes extremely well with natural cheese. The second glass of wine, is that yellow is a cheese that has more sugar. It's a sweeter one. The second glass of wine is this one too. It's a baby vintage from 2014. This wine is produced from a single year. It's not a wine, it's also a single grape. It's very sweet.